Hey guys, let's jump right into it. We're going to start our first lecture by looking at connected meaning, the logical structure, and how to connect sentences together. Let's take a look.
So connected meaning has 5 different types, as you can see right here. And in today's lecture, we're going to focus on sentence placement. Sentence placement just means, where does the sentence go? Where should this sentence go? Should we add the sentence? Should we delete the sentence? Where in the paragraph should we place the sentence? Let's start here with sentence addition first. So take a look at this passage. I recommend pausing to read through if you need to read the passage. But to be honest, not a big deal, as long as we focus on the sentences that the question is asking us to look at. So let's start with the question. At this point, the writer is considering adding the following sentence. The ancient Greek philosophers, Plato for example, wrote many of his works in the form of dialogues. Should the writer make this addition here? So should this sentence belong right here in point 42? To answer this question, I'm going to need to look at what comes before and what comes after it. But before I even do that, the first thing I do notice is that the sentence contained the transition for example. So Plato must be an example of something that was mentioned before. Law and business specifically benefit from the complicated theoretical issues raised in the study of philosophy. But philosophy can be just as useful in engineering or any field requiring complex analytical skills or analytic skills. So what would Plato be an example of here? We said Plato wrote many works in the form of dialogues. That's not an example of anything mentioned above. It didn't talk about writers writing anything in the form of dialogues. So already I know the answer to this question should be a no. It doesn't belong here. Some of you may be wondering, well, can't it be an example of something that came earlier in the passage? And the answer is no. No, it can't. It has to be based on something that's directly before it. But why is the answer no? We have to check these two answers now. Is it no because it blurs the paragraph's focus by introducing a new idea that goes unexplained? Or no because it undermines the passage's claim about the employability of philosophy majors? So, neither of these is exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, well, because this sentence isn't an example for something mentioned before. But that's okay. We don't panic. We say which of these two does describe the reason why this sentence doesn't belong. Well, C says let's focus on a new idea that doesn't go explained. So let's see the next sentence. That these skills are transferable across professions makes them especially beneficial to 21st century students. So a couple of problems here. First of all, to these skills, there were no skills mentioned in the prior sentence, which would have been this one I'm adding. And secondly, just like C says, it doesn't further explain the idea of Plato using dialogues. So I'm pretty sure C's the answer here. D, it undermines or weakens the passage's claim about philosophy majors being employable. You know what? No, it's like not even related to these two sentences. It's about stuff that's elsewhere in the passage. And if you were to look at the passage, you would see that it's not about this point anyway. But you don't have to even look that carefully because the answer always lies adjacent to the question. So the answer for this one was, of course, C. Let's take a look at sentence deletion now. Sentence deletion is very similar to sentence addition in that we just need to decide whether or not this sentence belongs here. But rather than adding a sentence, we're saying should we take it out or not? So the writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Should the sentence be kept or deleted? Here's the underlined sentence. The cost of launching a new co-working business in the United States is estimated to be approximately $58,000. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Does it belong here? Should I read the whole passage to decide? No. As you've probably guessed, I should read the sentence beforehand. In addition to equipment, the spaces often include small meeting areas and larger rooms for hosting presentations. All right, so the prior sentence talked about how, in addition to the equipment mentioned, there's also space. Now suddenly I talk about the cost of launching a new co-working business. Previously I was describing the co-working businesses, or I was describing some spaces anyway. which are co-working spaces, and now I talk about the cost. Well, it's not related to what I just said. Although it's still about co-working business, the point is totally different. We're talking about the cost now. So we should definitely delete the sentence. It's not on topic. And I'm going to stop here and make a point. Even if you think it's kind of related, that's not good enough. It has to be directly related. For example, if I said to you, hey, junk food is so bad for kids. It contains fats and sugars which cause obesity and diabetes. And I said to you, should I include this next sentence? And my sentence is, that's why schools should eliminate junk food from their cafeterias. Now, logically, it makes sense. Yeah, it's okay to add. But from the College Board's perspective, that would be wrong. I wasn't talking about schools. I was only talking about junk food and kids. So to make a proposition that we should now remove junk food from schools is a new idea that we don't want. Okay? This is a new idea. We're talking about the cost. So we need to delete it. But why? Why should we delete it? Is it because it blurs the paragraph's main focus with a loosely related detail, or because information that repeats information that has been provided in an earlier paragraph? Now, of course, if you're doing the passage, you could go back and check. This is from the practice test, so you can see that the D is not earlier in the passage. But I don't need to, because C pretty much directly matches what I think, which is that this isn't a directly related detail. It's a loosely related detail. So why would I want to introduce this new point? So the answer then is going to be C here for this one. Okay, definitely C.
So we've looked at sentence addition and sentence deletion now. They were very similar, weren't they? But this next one's a little bit different. This one's called sentence placement, and it's about where in the paragraph a particular sentence belongs. There's also something called paragraph placement. It's a bit rarer, but sometimes it'll ask you, where does this paragraph belong in the passage? But it's the same kind of idea. Let's take a look.
This question's asking us, where should we place sentence 5? Where should we place it? Well, let's read sentence 5 first of all. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid way runoff can pollute waterways, depleting the oxygen content of streams and rivers as it decomposes. So, does it belong here where it is now? Or should it be after sentence 1, 2, or 3? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, take the sentence, and try after, in order from the top. So it's kind of easy to follow the flow. Here we go, B. After sentence 1. The main environmental problem caused by the production of Greek yogurt is the creation of acid whey as a byproduct. Okay, so the main environmental problem was the production of acid whey. And they said, if it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid whey can pollute water. That seems okay. So after sentence 1 is okay so far, right? Because I talked about acid whey. But let's make sure it doesn't break up sentences 1 and 2. 2 says, because it requires up to 4 times more milk to make than conventional yogurt does, Greek yogurt produces larger amounts of acid whey, which is difficult to dispose of. Well, I'm still talking about acid whey. I'm still introducing the idea of acid whey, and this time I'm saying that Greek yogurt in particular makes a lot of acid whey. So to talk about how it would be bad to introduce into the environment would be breaking up the flow of yogurt creating acid whey. So I wouldn't put it in between sentence 1 and 2, but I could put it after sentence 2 now. But let's check. Again, we don't want to break the flow, so let's check sentence 3 now. To address the problem of disposal, farmers have found a number of uses for acid whey. All right, here we go. Because the problems of disposal can follow on to sentence 5, which was that if we don't take care of the acid whey properly, it's going to damage the environment. And this is to address this problem, we should do these things here. So perfect sentence 5 belongs here after sentence 2 because between sentence 1 and 2, I'd break the flow of describing acid whey being produced from yogurt. And if by putting it here between 2 and 3, I introduce the idea that it causes problems. And then after sentence 2 and sentence 3, it talks about the problems. So it's the perfect place to put sentence 5. All right, to review. The most important thing is to find the direct connection to the sentences before and or after the target sentence. Should you add it? Should you delete it? Where should it belong? Where should it be placed? Check the sentences before and after. And a really important point was, and it's a trap that a lot of people fall for, is don't use loosely related ideas. They have to be directly related.